there's a good chance this has a blown head gasket. Now I'll take a spark plug out and I'll check the spark plug, make sure it's sparking, but I'll put a new coil and I'll put a new condenser in, and it's a perfect spark, but it's still... Okay, I've taken the spark plug out and we'll just... As you can see, it's getting a good spark. But okay, to take the head off, the first thing I generally do, put the crank handle in, and then move it onto top, move the first piston onto top dead center. You can see the little groove down at the bottom. The next thing is mark all the spark plugs where they come into the distributor. So we've got one, and make the front one the first one. This one comes around, this is the third. Put 3 on there. And this one comes around here, up around here. So this is the second. And of course, this is the last, which is the 4th at the back. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll take the distributor off. Pull all the leads out, and we can put all them over the side. The distributor, the points are closed, so the first piston has come up and it's in the process of, with the points closed, the rotor is pointing out that way. So just remember that. The next thing to do is, don't forget, before you do anything, is of course to drain the water. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going down here. I can undo this clip. And the clip undone, you can see the water starting to flow out the bottom. We can take it right off, but it's just more work in taking it right off. We'll just leave the water run out and probably take a bit. Okay, with all the water out, we can now start taking. As usual. Okay, loosen this and pull that off. So this engine has a fair bit of blowback, so I've run a hose. As you can see, I've run a hose from here, which connects into the air filter and over to the blowback outlet, or where you put the oil. Any fumes which develop in the crankcase is just sucked in by the air filter. So we'll just take that off. As you can see, there's a little bit of mustard, well, there's quite a bit of mustard on the end of the pipe. Now that shows, a bit of mustard there shows that you've got a problem. There's a problem with water getting in there somewhere, leaking out of the head gasket into the oil. So we've got major problems here. Okay, just put that to the side. Okay, I usually start in the middle. That's where I start when I tighten it up. So that's where I start finishing off. And just loosen a bit, just slightly. On to the next one. Loosen that. Loosen that. There's one right. Loosen that. Up here. Loosen that. Loosen that. Now, we can't get the socket in there due to the distributor being in the way, just that there won't fit on properly, so I'll take this spark plug out. I loosened it up before I put the camera on it, so I don't think I drive around with spark plugs that loose. Okay, with the spark plug out, we'll just bring it there and get that out. And we have the same problem on the other side. So I've got that loose, that's loose, that's loose, they're all loose. Let's move down here. This loose, that loose, that loose, that loose. Okay. Now, what I've done is I've set up a board with all the nails on like that, so that I can take each nut off the head and put it, including the washer, and put it there, there. Okay, you probably think this is going a bit too much, but the problem is that the car's 60 years old and you don't know what has happened over the years. Somebody could have broken a stud, taken the stud out and put a different size head nut on it, or done something. So when I'm working on the car, especially an old car, I always try to put the same nuts and bolts back on the same thread. Okay, you've got the one at the end. And one more around the corner. Take off the earth lead. And the most important thing is not to forget to put it back on, which I've done before. Okay, we've got all the nuts off. You've just got to take that spark plug out. I've also got all the nuts nicely laid out. Of course. Now the other thing to do is disconnect the throttle cable. Just pull the split pin out here and move that over the side. You can put that up there, push it up a little bit, keep that in place. Yeah, that's started. Just hold it. Hold on, so you can see me in the engine there.
Alright. So how do you stop it?
Oh no, don't worry, I'll stop it.
Alright, okay.
Okay, what we've done now, I've squirted a little, got all the nuts off, so I've squirted a little bit of oil on all around the bolts, around the studs, and that'll loosen it all up a bit, make it reasonably easy to get off. Okay, now since having the distributor on, the good thing about having the distributor on is it gives you something to lift on, so that can off pretty easy. Okay, now where's the problem? Okay, there's the problem just there. Okay, we'll just give you a closer look on it. It's blown through just there. Now what has caused that? Okay, and as you see, this piston, the first piston, is on top dead center. Okay, now that's with the head. Now, what caused that to blow? I do not know.
Okay.
Okay, let's get the head gasket off. As you can see, we do have a serious problem. Now, just hold it there. Now, I had the same problem 2 years ago.
Time.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it blew out, it's blown out in exactly the same place. Or has it?
Yes.
Yes, it has. It's blown out in exactly the same place. Now, why has that blown out there? Now, I've cleaned up the head and I've got everything as spotless as I could possibly get it. I've I washed it and scrubbed it and brushed it and did everything to get it as clean as possible. Then to be sure, I poured a bit of metho over the top of it. And now how clean, you couldn't get it any cleaner. I haven't got air here, so I can't blow it off, so hopefully the metho got any dirt off. But here's the problem here. That's where the head gasket blew before, and it's blown there twice. Now there's obviously a problem. Now if I looked in here, put my finger there, I don't know whether you can see on there, if it's showing up properly, you see down the bottom, there's something wrong there. There's a there's sort of a hole in the cylinder wall, but it doesn't go right through to the I don't know where the water would leak out. It doesn't go right through, but there's just a tiny little bit of metal missing there on the cylinder wall. There's a tiny little crack near it. Now I don't know what that is, but the crack, you might see the crack there. You can see the crack at the top, but it just goes to the top of the silver part, and the crack doesn't seem to go right to the top of the block. Well, hopefully. Now I've got the old crank handle out. Now, just check everything. Everything looks okay. We've got the old crank handle out here, and I'll put it in, and we'll just give the engine. Now, turn over. Everything looks good. What I generally do is I just got a bit of oil on my finger and put a bit of oil in the cylinders so that it's when it first starts up, it's got plenty of compression and she'll blow lots of blue smoke out the back. But at least it'll. Okay, I've brought the engine back to top dead centre, and as you can see, the first piston is up at the top, and you can see the position of the, I forget what you call it. Anyway, the other problem with the engine is not only the problem up here, which I'm not sure if it's a problem, but there's a 90% chance it's got something to do with the head gasket blowing twice, but down here there's a problem with this piston. And as you see, there's a tiny little bit broken out of the top, and the top piece is broken out, and it's bashed up against the top of the piston and damaged the top of the piston. I remember when it happened, I was in Parramatta in Sydney with my parents on board, and we were going out, and it started banging, and my father says, "Oh, that's it, she's blown a bearing." Anyway, I said, no, it's just the piston's falling apart. But anyway, the engine, I've had it in the car for 11 years, pushing its 11th year. I put it in 2004. A guy gave me the engine, and it appeared like it had just been reconditioned. The car, he had bought the car and gave it to me, and I quickly pulled the engine out and put it in this. Now I've done about 80,000 miles in it over that time. That includes a trip around Australia. So the engine is still in reasonable condition. The valves have never been ground in. All I've ever done is I use unleaded petrol with 10% alcohol content in it. Now when I did the trip around Australia and it was running hot all the time, I put a lead substitute in it, which probably may have helped save the valves, but the valves are in reasonable condition, except this one here. And as you can see, if you look carefully, it's got a little crack there, and it's got another little crack down here. So hopefully the valve doesn't fall apart. But as you can see, this one here, there's a bit of a problem with that one. It's well seated, but, well, what can you do? But it's not too bad. I'm looking for another engine. I'd like to buy some pistons. I've got a spare engine. Buy some pistons and put them in, but I'm thinking if I could find an engine which has been used and someone did up a few years ago and then stored the car and never used it, something like that, I would rather put an engine in it that has been running instead of me rebuilding another engine, because you don't know what problems you're going to find when you rebuild an engine. That's what I'm scared of. So if anyone has a spare Morris minor side valve engine out there that you're looking to sell or you don't want, I could come and pick it up. I'd be very interested in having a look at it. So anyway, what I've done now is I've continued, we'll continue on, what I've done now, I've put a light layer of grease over the head. And on the top of the engine I just put a light layer of oil. Okay, just put the cylinder head goes on there. That looks pretty good. To my partner how a car works. Now here's the head, which I've put a light layer of oil on top of it. Now to explain, the spark plugs fit in there, right? And what the head does, it sits on top of the engine, and all it does is stop the, it creates a combustion chamber. The fuel will combust in there. What happens is that first piston goes down, and when it goes down you'll see the valve here.
Where's the valve? Open.
That's the exhaust valve. And there. That's the exhaust, and that'll let the hot gases out, and it'll come up. And then when it comes up, this valve here opens, and when it goes down it'll suck in more fuel. So when it comes back up then, both valves will be closed, the spark will spark, and bang, it'll burn inside the cylinder, and that burning will force the piston to go down again. So that happens in sequence on all the pistons. So you can see the valves moving up and down. Okay, so does that give you an idea how it works?
No idea.
Okay, we'll get more. Okay, let's get the first piston back to top dead centre again. That looks pretty good. We've got that, and that's in that one. Get the head. And then just open to the gas smith. Up. Well, easier said than done.
Right, what's gone wrong?
No, nothing's gone wrong. It all went on. It's all gone together perfectly, as we can see. If we turn that around, we're right there. Okay, now all we need to do is get the nuts and set up the head. We've got all the nuts, head nuts. So what we'll do, always start with the back one. Put the back one on, and then put the earth on. Because if I don't do that, I'll forget to put the earth on. Then I'll have to undo it at the end. So I'll just put all, as you can see, I've got all the nuts on. And here we've got the trusty Morris Minor handbook. Now as you can see, in this case it says the first bolt to tighten up is the middle one. Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5. Go from there. Then over to the side, 6, 7, backwards and forwards until you get them tightened up. So what I do is I go around and just get it with a spanner and just get it reasonably tight, just to get the feel of it. Now I've got a tension wrench, and I'm going to use that in a minute, but for the start we'll just start here and we'll just tighten it up hand tight. Okay, then over to here, get that, then move around and just get them all a little bit tight, just get the slackness up them. Really bit by bit. Get it tight. I've got my tension wrench out, and I'll start by tightening them down to 15 pounds per square inch, and I'll eventually tighten them down to 40. Now in the book it says just tighten them down. To tighten them down, it doesn't give a how tight to make them. It just says get them tight. Well, I have done that before. I've done that without a tension wrench, and if you haven't got a tension wrench, slowly and surely move through the whole thing and just tighten it down till so you get the feel that it's nice and tight. Okay, once you've done that, you're going to do what I'm going to do, and that's you're going to start it up, take it for a drive for a while, let it cool down, and give it another tighten. Now I generally try to tighten it once or twice, or first time, then again, and then I just check it over the third time. Okay, let's go. That's about 15, that's right. That's about 15. Now I've tightened them all down to 15. I'll start again and I'll tighten them all down to say 25 this time. Now I'll finish at about 40. Carefully tighten them up to 40. Now I talk to different people. Some people have said 40 is the limit, others said 35 is the limit, some said 40 is the limit, and then 45 and 50. And I'll leave the comments open, and everybody can tell me what you tighten yours down to. That'll be really good. Anyway. Running perfect, just like the day it was made.